Welcome to another We're Here Live. First of all, if we haven't met yet, Brian Oles, founder here at Black Speakers Network. I am joined with the incomparable, is that the right word? Incomparable?
Incomparable. All right.
Yes.
We
Call
dropping
him
the big words on Saturday morning. Okay.
up. The undisputed, the undeniable. Like, just start going like wrestling. Be like,
Right.
the Detroit
Sounds like a sports
man.
team. It's like the undisputed, the undefeated. Oh my
But
God.
Pam Perry is in the building. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I am. I am. I took a red eye from Vegas to now waking up looking like this, right? It's like, woo, those ain't no joke, man. Oh
The
my God.
red eyes, yes.
Oh
You
my.
you were out in Vegas for the event, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. It was
We were
it
talking
was
about that at the last show.
Oh my God. It was so good. So good.
Well, in
Right.
case y'all are wondering what we're doing, this is Speakers Magazine. This is our live cover reveal. We do this monthly for Speakers Magazine. And Pam, of course, has been running strong, 5 years strong now, Speakers Magazine, right? And
Definitely.
oh, well, I thought so 7 years strong,
We
but we
yeah,
were just that's because we were just talking about this before, and I was like, oh, we've been doing this broadcast, I think 5 years, but
5 years. Yes.
magazine been running strong. Speakersmagazine.com is where you can check out this current issue. We'll be taking a look at it in a moment, but um I'm really excited to chat with you, Pam. You're fresh off of doing a lot of stuff because you were at an event, you were speaking for us on site at the event, so
Oh my
you
God.
have been
That was
getting
so
your
much
free.
fun. That was so much fun. I just talked about quick media coverage, and it was like it's hard to because when we talk, we banter and we can go for a good while, but when you are actually just don't have an audience in front of you and you're doing a presentation, it's a little hard. So I give kudos to all the speakers that do the speaker development training every single month, and they're like talking to the screen, talking in the bubble and delivering the content because it's not hard because sometimes I need the energy back from the people to know like what's hot, what's not, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was definitely, and I did it from the hotel room, but it didn't look like the hotel room. I made the bed up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I had no idea. But that is a good point. And I think, even in this post kind of COVID era of from a professional speaking, like looking at the landscape, virtual presentations are still
Mhm.
very alive and well. But I do think that these are important things to consider when you're taking on presentations because sometimes you're doing something virtually, but you don't always have the benefit of the direct audience engagement. And so, yeah, it is definitely a different skill. I think same thing when you're presenting on TV, I would imagine, right, Pam? Because you're
Mhm.
looking into a camera and millions of people might be watching you or it might be pre-recorded and taped, but you don't get that same benefit
You
of
don't get that
kind of
energy.
knowing how things is landing. You just got to go for it, right?
Yes, yes, you don't get the energy. And one of the things when you are doing a presentation virtually on the road, like right now I'm in my studio, so I have my background, I have the sound, I have the right mic, but I don't carry the microphone and the camera. I have to use my laptop. And so the camera's a little bit different. I have a Mac, so it's decent, but the lighting is really, really key. And so a lot of people are really concerned about the lighting. So I did it at 8 p.m., which was really 5 o'clock that time. It was still light outside. So I made sure that the light was coming in from outside and facing me. You always want the light in front of you, not behind you, because now you're going to be dark and shadowy. So you always want the front. And if you can, always have natural light and then just try to have it eye level. So like I was telling you, I said I set it up on a trash can so I could bring my laptop up and over. But those are some of the things that speakers obviously have to figure out. Lighting is everything, sound is everything, and making sure that it is quiet and secure. And if you can, always have low ceilings and closed doors.
Mm. This is like a little a mini virtual presentation certification masterclass because I do think that's true. Like you can get you're going into an environment like you didn't know what that hotel was going to be like until you got
Yeah.
there. So you're going into kind of like an unknown situation. You got to make the best of it.
Mhm.
But you crushed it. I was looking at all those comments. I'm like,
Thank
we
you.
love,
Thank
like we
you.
love
Yeah.
Pam. I'm like, I know.
It was God on my side because it was still daylight outside, right? Because I did bring a little mini light, the little ring light, but those aren't really that good. They're good in a pinch, if it's totally dark outside, but natural light is always best. So that's really, really key. That is key. And sound. People will tolerate sometimes bad pictures, but they will not tolerate bad sound because our ears cannot take bad sound, choppy, and that sort of thing. So always making sure that your sound is clear and crisp, and closing doors. Even if you have to go into a bathroom, close it door because sound is more important than the visual.
Yeah. And for those that missed it, by the way, that training is up in the Black Speakers Network community group, and go check it out. But for those that missed it, could you give like maybe like a 60-second recap of
Yeah.
quick media coverage? Because I know um we get that question all the time. Like people always are thinking like, man, I want to get in print media, newspaper, television,
Mhm.
radio. Like, how can I get my message out there? And you did a really good job kind of breaking down the difference of what media outlets are looking for
Right.
versus what meeting plans are looking for. But could you give like a little
Yeah.
teaser for folks that want to go check it out?
Right. So, quick media coverage, I went over the benefits of what is publicity, why you need it, how to get it, and then basically all the resources. It takes time, it takes money, it takes contacts, and it takes really understanding what is news. So, I went through a lot of that about news and what is trending and how to really get into different outlets. And when you're just starting out, you're not going to start out on CNN or the USA Today. You're going to have to build a digital footprint. So I talked about how that looked. And one of the things, the Speakers Magazine, it gives you that instant credibility because it positions you. So PR is not sales. It is part of the marketing wheel, but it is one of the things that will expose you to people that may not know about you in a light where they're telling you, if they're vetting your story in a story form. So you do need to have a story. You need to have a backstory. You need to have a personality. I talked about all the assets that you need, but really it's primarily like how to get quick media coverage so you can really get more media as it goes. And it's the ing, it's continuous. It's not just like one and done. So,
Hmm.
it's kind of like give a real quick thing. So 2005, I was working with Gospel Today. I was one of the writers. And this was one of the issues
Oh,
that
nice. Can we zoom in on that? Because I
yeah,
want to make sure people know exactly what you're holding.
yes, Gospel Today, Dr. Teresa Harrison, one of my mentors. I worked for them for many, many years, probably about 5 years as one of the writers, and I wrote some of the stories. So this particular issue with Tyler on the cover has a
Well,
story in here of Dr. Stacia Pierce and her daughter Ariana. And it talks about your image is important to God. Obviously,
mm,
you have to target the story to the media outlet. And she definitely is. So it talked about purpose over passion. It gave the backstory of Dr. Stacia. There's a sidebar, you know,
hmm.
the things that you write. You have to pull out all the story. You interview and you have to have good pictures and all of that. But this was in 2005. Okay.
Wow. Look, it
That
looked like it came off the. First of all, you must have like do a really good job with
I
that.
am
They look like you just pulled that off of the airport carousel, like on your way back.
I'm a magazine hog. This house is full of magazines. My magazines, everybody else's magazines. It's Essence, Ebony, all the black magazines. They are in mint condition. If there was a museum for magazines, my stuff would be up in there, okay? 'Cause
Hey, that now as somebody that might not be a bad idea if we don't have because there's a museum for everything else, right?
that's true. That is true. And then Dante Lee, one of our partners, he just did blackmagazines.com.
I
So
saw
all the
that.
magazines are there as well. So we talked about that. It's like, let's put all the magazines out there, put them out there for free. So blackmagazines.com, our magazine is there. But this is not where, people think like, oh my God. So Dr. Stacia, she's been on Steve Harvey. She's been on all the top shows. She's been in Vogue and all the different magazines. But in 2005, she was in here. But even then, she was doing things 10 years before this. So I always tell people it takes at least 10 years to be a quote unquote overnight success. That Steve Harvey didn't start out being like the Steve Harvey that we know. You will see the gradual digital footprints or the digital media or the just traditional media that people will have over time. And that's one of the key things that people understand. But the story is still the same. I mean, her story is still the same. And, really, she talks about image, and you can see that uh, on a lot of the things where she is, if you follow her on Instagram, very stylish, right? Same
Very,
shoes.
I thought she was like a I thought she was like a style like a in the fashion industry when I first saw it because I'm like
No,
she,
she at one point in time, her very, very first book, and this is she'll know it's not where you start, it's where you finish, right? So this was her very first book.
oh
You
wow,
you can,
what's it
and
called? I can't really see it.
it says beauty is an inside job.
Okay,
And so
nice.
really it talks about discovering the secret to the confident you. You can set yourself on a path by becoming the person you always desired to be and the person who God predestined you to be. And really it talks about our uniqueness and style. Now she was a model, and then eventually her hardcover book, you can see the difference in the books, right? How it just grows and just
Yeah,
became more of a thing.
that
But
look like Simon and Schuster.
yes, exactly. This book, Inspired to Succeed, is still on Amazon, and she actually had a perfume launch at the same time
Of
with
course you
this
did.
particular book. Yes, her own scent. Oh my god. And so this book actually is a book that came out probably 2010 maybe or something like that. So I always tell people, I said, people aren't really new to this. They're true to this. And this came out in 2008.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So I
2000,
mean, you've definitely been putting in work. Well, people are probably like, why y'all talking about this lady? One of the reasons we're talking about Dr. Stacia Pierce is because Monet, if you want to pull it up, she is actually on the cover this month, which obviously we are in May,
yes,
2023 issue of Speakers Magazine, and look at that incredible cover. So
yes.
that is why we are talking about her specifically.
And
Um,
I can just say from, knowing her personally, uh, from talking about, the Millionaire Maker, for real, I've seen people that she has made into millionaires. She's been my personal mentor. When I started working with her, I was broke as smoke, okay? That's like
Smoke do be pretty broke. Like I'm not even gonna hold you. Like
Bro,
it be
it's smoke. But it's really about mindset and manifestation. She talks about that all the time of how to really attract money. It's not necessarily, oh, you got to work harder, work harder. Sometimes it's just mindset and it's just doing the shift. So she has a women in wealth club and she talks really primarily to women. That's her and her husband minister together, but
mm,
primarily her mission is really just to help women and their money mindset and to become wealthy. Obviously, she helps some men as well, but primarily just with women's. And she's been at this at least 25 years. If not,
yeah.
I don't want to just say like, oh, 30, but probably 30 years. And over the years, thousands of women. She used to have a success conference in Lansing, Michigan. And I
I
remember
remember those. I remember those.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I remember the very first one I went to, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool up in Lansing, Michigan." Not really a lot happens up in Lansing other than Michigan State football games, right? But
Right.
this was like thousands of women that were from all over the country. I remember seeing Tasha Smith there, Deshaun Snow, CeCe Winans, all the
CC
celebrities.
Winans.
Yes, all the celebrities were
Jeez.
there and Tasha Smith was from Tyler Perry's, from Tyler Perry's, movies, if you remember Tasha. And she spoke, I mean, but they're speaking on her stages, and they are really life-changing type of events. And so she started I always want to tell people that, you know, be very strategic, always showing up in the rooms, but she was very strategic about having that signature event every year. It was the Women's Success Conference every single year. She ran it, ran it, ran it. And then they moved to Florida. She's in Orlando now.
Hmm.
And basically, she's a person that helps you activate dreams. That's what she does. And so it's no coincidence. Obviously, she's down there in Orlando, right? In the where dreams come true, right? But one of the things is that she still has women from all across the country and she mentors them through a Women in Wealth Club. But she started with a newsletter in the mail and was mailing out tapes of the month. That's how long I've been with her, right? So we would get these little cassette tapes in the mail and with
Wow.
the newsletter wrapped around it, and she would have different confessions and things like that, things that, that we had to do for that particular month, and it was angle, and then eventually I ended up being a part of her women's leadership, team as well,
You,
and
you know what's interesting about this? I kind of have I've gone full circle kind of with this industry as it specifically as it relates to people that do kind of like this work because initially, and I think women tend to kind of have really robust communities that talk about this more. I think men typically are more likely to dismiss it as like, you know, I don't need like we want to talk about. I'm speaking big, very big generalities here,
Mhm.
but typically it's like, hey, I don't want to talk about mindset. I don't want to talk about like believing in myself. I don't want to talk about, you know, success principles and the secret
That's
and all
true.
that. Like I want to talk about money and
Money now,
automation and system.
mhm,
Yeah, like and so,
now money now, yes,
but every business is connected to a person and people are susceptible to, you know, just lacking confidence, lacking belief, like, and so all of that internal work is very, very necessary. But I'm saying most men typically, I'll just speak for myself. But what I've seen with a lot of guys that I'm friends with is like we want to skip over that and just go straight to, you know, get in the bag. And so one of the things I always say is that like your income won't exceed your self-image. And so like if your
mm,
self-image is
true,
stuck at like, you know, $80,000 a year and that's all you think you're worth, then even if you do make more money, it'll drop right back down. So I now have a kind of renewed respect for kind of holistically that approach. And I know she bills herself as the business manifestation expert because it's kind of like you definitely need both. You got to have some strategy, you got to have some you know, understand how to make
yeah.
a business work, but having one without the other isn't gonna like lead to much.
Yeah, even having women say millionaire, millionaire, saying
Mm,
that word, and I am a millionaire. She's a millionaire maker. I am a millionaire. Those kind of things, and that is so true. You will not exceed the level of your self-image. And so you may only go for stages that are, lower end because you don't want to put yourself out there to really go to the higher stages where they're paying you 25, $30,000. I saw a speaker just recently at in Vegas, Jade Simmons. She was phenomenal and she gets paid 25,000 and up to do her presentation for an hour.
mhm, mhm,
And when you look at her, it's like she's worth every penny. It
mhm.
wasn't just for that really 1 hour, right? It was from all the experiences that she's had up until that point that she delivered to the audience.
Yeah.
Classical trained pianist, speaking, all the things, shifting mindsets, and that kind of thing is really priceless. So, but she could have said, "Well, I'll charge 1,500 bucks." And it's because her mindset wasn't there. So it is really, really important that people understand about success from the internal standpoint because I have people that I try to do PR for and they can't see themselves on the cover. They can't see themselves in particular. And so it's hard because I'm trying to be their therapist along with their publicist, right? It's like, no, we need you. You're worthy of this. You're worthy to speak to them. It's not like someone saying, "Oh, I'm shy, I don't want to get on the air," but they're literally they're not feeling confident enough to put themselves out there. And that is so frustrating when you hire a publicist, right? It's like, "Oh, let's go." And they're like,
Like,
and they're like deer
no.
in the headlights. It's like, what is going on with you? And they have that internal chatter that they have to work on. And that's why I recommend life coaches and things like that for people to really work on that. Because once you have that value about yourself, then you can put yourself out there and talk and do presentations, get on the stages and get in the media places. That's really, really easy at that point. And then you attract what it is that you believe about yourself.
Let's dive into the cover because I know this is a pack magazine and we have several speakers in addition to Dr. Pierce to look at. We can go to the next page. We already talked about quick media coverage,
Yeah.
but I do think that you know, one thing I'll
You there, Brian? Did I freeze or you freeze? He is frozen. Okay, you can hear me. So Brian is frozen, but you see that little key there that is there, the success key. That is one of the things that Stacia gives all the women in the Women in Wealth Club. It's a little key. It's a necklace. I don't have it on today, but it's a key because the key to success is one of the things that she teaches and ascribes to. So the publisher's page, if you go into it, you can't obviously read it right there, but it really goes in some of the sayings that she says that I internalize over the years. One is that it's not real unless it's written, which is why she has a success journal. She's a big journaler. All right. Journalizing, writing things down, making sure that you're doing goals and success journals. Anyway, this is a fabulous tool. If you have nothing else, this success journal is really, really good. She also used to say information will change the seasons of your life, which is one of the reasons why she writes so many books, right? She has, these are some of the older books, The Making of a New You, Enjoy Life. This is really, really good here, right? This one here. Um, this one here, 25 Habits of Successful Women. Now, when I tell you she's written these books probably over 10 years ago, the success readers, the success secrets of a reader, you see the theme of success right here. She did it 2 different covers. So sometimes you can have a book and you can retrofit it, like retrofit it, meaning like have it different covers. This is Confession. This one is Purpose. This is the key to purposeful living. This is one, Purpose and Pursue Your Purpose and Live Your Dreams. And she's in Orlando there. But one of the main things that she says is that it's not written unless it's real. So she is the whole thing about writing, right? And information will change the seasons of your life, because if you want to change the season of your life, what you do is get new information on that particular topic, and you flood, there's Brian, and you flood your mind and your mindset and all your soul with that information to change the season of your life. The other thing she used to say is some things are taught and some things are caught. I used to love that,
Hmm.
meaning that you can learn from someone from just being around them. They don't have to necessarily teach you. So if I'm around George Fraser, or if I'm just around Les Brown and I'm just hanging out with him, I'm just serving them. Some things are caught. He doesn't necessarily have to teach me. That made me always say those that show up go up, and just showing up and being in the room is really key.
Absolutely.
So this publisher's page just kind of talks about some of the things that I learned from her, and want to say a happy birthday shout out to her because she is turning double nickels next month. She's a Gemini like I am as well, but just want to say her birthday is in June. So I wanted to just say a shout out to that as well. But she's been a very instrumental mentor in my life for many, many years, in life coach. So I want to really just kind of talk about that. She's not here today, like I said, because saving her voice for her sermon that she's going to deliver tomorrow, Mother's Day. But again, this was where one of the stories that I got her, she was placing some other ones, I think, on the cover of Ambassador magazine in Detroit, a lot of different media. But media makes a difference because it'll put you in places where other people may not have heard of you in
Hmm.
their eye gate, in their ear gate. She's been on podcasts. She was actually, Brian, she was on a podcast years ago on Blog Talk Radio with Delatoro McNeil. And that was in 2010, I believe. Yes, her and Dell were on the same show at the same time. That was fire. Oh my God. Those two together, Dr. Stacia and Delatoro. They
Wow.
were hilarious. They both live in Florida now, so I texted Dell the other day. He's been on the cover too. I says, "Hey, Dell," I said, "Stacia is actually in Florida, not far from you. I think Dell is in Tampa and she's in Orlando." I said, "You guys need to meet up." Simon Bailey as well is also in Florida. So yeah, so a lot of those good things come out of Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, I'm super excited about this issue. I think Pam, you've just done an incredible job. Really, what we're seeing kind of, and one of the reasons why I love doing these interviews is because you're adding so much context. I think sometimes people just kind of see people featured and they're just like, oh, they started off like
No, no,
you
there's
we peel back the onion, you're like, oh, these people have been putting in work, in the case of, Dr. Pierce, it's like decades.
yes,
But you
decades.
you have done such a good job of curating like relationships with so many of particularly the black speakers that we've had an opportunity to feature,
Mhm.
like you always have such a great like personal connection and story to that. So I think that's good.
Yeah, yeah, and Sherwood too, that she's another one that's gonna be coming up soon. Now, this lady here on the page, Betty Hines. Betty is a connector for real, for real. So the event that I just left in Vegas was the Women's Presence Organization, which is an organization of women that's about 50 years old, and they have to have $1 million in revenue, in
Okay.
order to be a part of it. But
What's it called?
Women Presidents Organization,
Women's
WPO
presidents. Okay.
organization, and it's primarily not a lot of African American women in it,
I mean,
but Betty is on the board,
oh,
multimillionaire. There's another lady by the name of Phyllis Newhouse, owns a cybersecurity, company, multi-million, companies, and so being in the room with these women, and they're so lovely and sharing, and again, those that show up, go up. I mean, just going there, I picked up, several clients, that people that want PR, and they're so open, and they really have genuine stories. But Betty was the reason why I was there at the event.
I
She has
see.
another organization called Women Elevating Women, and that's what she's about. And really, the Women Elevating Women are women that aren't quite at the $1 million mark. They're almost there, and they need just some elevation, and then they feed into the WPO where they're making 1 million, 2 million, $3 million in revenue a year, multi-million. I mean, it's incredible. And so she started that particular group and on the board of WPO, but she's connecting one. So we called her Auntie Betty. I interviewed her on the Instagram for Speakers Magazine, but she is the like a person that is magical, like really a connector. And I just can't say enough about her because it's like, how does she do all of this? She's from Michigan too, by the way. She actually went to U of M, and she's from this part of the state, but lovely person. She sees you. She sees your potential. She sees more in you that you probably see in yourself. So, Betty, I just want to say, as a person that you should get to know, the Women Elevating Women, she takes applications, she looks at it, she mentors you, she just makes sure that you're going to be on the right track and that you meet the right people. So that is one of the people that I love, the wisdom of the women that are north of 60. I guess you would say. I don't know how old
Hmm.
she is, but I will say she is probably north of 60.
But
But
people that are on kind of on that, like you're in your next quarter of life, like, and this is stuff like you don't have to do, like you've already made your own success, and so
yeah,
this is purely like a reach back
it is.
situation.
She
Yeah.
talks about collaboration, connection, communication, courage, and cultivating. Those are her pillars that she uses to for her women peer advisory group. So it was just real interesting. I wanted to make sure that Stacia and Betty were in the same issue so that people can get the theme of women in wealth, money, manifestation, mindset, all of those things are really, really important. So when people read the magazine now, it's not just like, oh, these people are put in here, but there are themes of why certain people are in certain issues.
There we
And
go.
that's
And you only kind of get that if you well, you articulate that a little bit on the from the desk of the publisher, but also here on the live interview, you get that
mhm,
behind the scenes like context.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
on the next page, I know we have two additional powerhouse women. By the
Yes.
way, really well designed. Um, you
Thank
know,
you. Thank you. This is the first time of Chevelle out in the gate. So Chevelle is a new author. The book actually drops at the end of this month. And I always say people who can take me, they can make it. If you can take it, you can make it. So Chevelle, the first, in order to get in there, I said, we need a photo, we need this, we need more in the branch shot, we need more in the head. So she's doing all the things, but I actually met her through her mom, who we both are connected to Dr. Stacia. So that was a real kind of full circle moment because her mother, Karita, said, hey, my daughter has a book dropping in May. I would love to get her ready so that she can launch with her book. And so this is one of the things where it those connections count. So Chevelle Nelson, she's out of New York. Uh, she has she started out like as a spoken word poet, so she is a speaker, so she's knows how to command the stage, and kind of do that thing. But this novel, the novel series is a whole nother thing. So she's getting ready for that. So I'm real, real proud of her being an author and a speaker, being in this issue and getting the photos together. It's just like, what do you have me doing? So yeah, so she's doing that. And she's got the website, she got her name.com. I said, you've got to get ChevelleNelsonAuthor.com. I'm all stickler about branding, right? So those are the kind of things too. She started her Twitter account. She's like, I got to get on Twitter too. I was like, yes. I always tell people the reason why they have to get on Twitter because the media's on Twitter. So now we can tweet this page out and you can add the media, at whatever, Black Star News or whatever, and let them see you in motion. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's one of the things I just said, yeah, you do need to get on Twitter. So she got her name on Twitter.
And then we got another
Michelle.
doctor, Dr. Michelle Wells.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's a speaker, coach, and an author. And one of the things hers is she's a founder of Courageous Voice Academy. Again, what we
Love
were
that name.
talking about. Yeah, we're talking about confidence and mindset and really helping people find their voice and lead in their destiny and become bold, empowering women. So if she doesn't know Dr. Stacia, then Dr. Michelle will I'm in this issue with Dr. Stacia. Why did Pam place me in this issue with Dr. Stacia? Probably because there's some synergy there, right? So one of the things is she's just been doing this for 25 years. She's what's in the social work profession, but now more like in the life coaching, empowering women to really uh, find their voice with the CEO of the Courageous Voice Academy. That's her where she has her signature program in there called the Bold Voice. Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's yeah. And
I
that's
see that
really
breaking obstacles to lead in their destiny.
Mhm,
Yes.
authentic
Yeah.
confidence, and
I love.
you can see she's also probably north of 50. I don't know if she's north of 60, but she's north of 50 for sure, and still doing the thing. A long time ago, Brian, when people were in their 50s or 60s, people would slow down and kind of retire, but I'm finding this generation of these baby boomers, they are refiring, okay? They are refiring. They're not retiring, they are refiring, and they're giving out all the wisdom, sharing all the things. They're getting in the technology. You'll find them on TikTok, like Dr. Geneva. I mean, they're not going to slow down. So yeah, so it's
I love to see it. I think because it's a kind of it could be a waste or a loss, I should say, to humanity for so many people once you hit like a certain age and you're kind of you have all of this capital and it's just like sitting up here
yes,
and it doesn't have an opportunity if you don't have an outlet, if you haven't built your own platform. Sometimes some people may see you and like, oh, we want to get this person in, but I know people that just, to your point, that just retire off into obscurity, and then all of your knowledge, your wisdom, just kind of gets like lost a little bit. So I love to see that. By the
mhm.
way, as we go to the next page, maybe we could put the banner in so that folks can see what you're watching right now. For those just joining or watching the replay, this is Speakers Magazine. So you can find it at speakersmagazine.com.
Mm.
Online issue is available for free to download, to check out. You can follow along with us if you like,
And
but
also
that's where we're.
mhm,
I'm s
and they can watch the videos if they watch it online. Like Monet, if you kinda hover over that, yeah, you'll see, like, there's videos on that page and videos on the next page on
Yep.
that side, on the other side, both side yep. And so those are Dr. Stacey's YouTube videos. If n They are so good. They are so good. So you wanna watch them, for sure. I mean, obviously, you can watch any of them from our YouTube channel, but the ones that were hand selected for this issue coincide with the theme about how to become a millionaire and how to really understand your value and really learn how to leverage your message. So yeah, and monetize it. So yeah, so make sure you check those out. You'll see that's Dr. Stacia with the Success Journal in her hand, and I have
Lots
one.
lots of journals.
Yeah, lots of journals and lots of books. And then on the other side is her daughter Ariana. And Ariana is like a mini Dr. Stacia, for real, for real. She is a powerhouse. If you have not followed Ariana, the heiress, on Instagram, please do. You will find it is a just a wealth of information for sure. And they have another child too. So mothers say, want to give a shout out to Ryan as well. So it's like, okay, he's kind of in the background. And he is really in the
They're like, they have another
yeah,
child
yeah,
somewhere.
they do. They have Ryan. Ryan is 26, I believe,
Shout out
and,
to Ryan, man.
yeah, Ryan does all the videos. He went to Full Sail University. He's
Oh, nice.
an awesome editor and a videographer and photographer. So you won't find him a lot of times in front of the camera. He's behind for sure, but
Making
he's
them
a
look good.
mastermind.
You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need you need you need it all. You need
yeah.
a solid,
A
these
solid
images don't make themselves like, you
yeah.
need a yeah.
Yeah, and so when you follow them on Instagram, a lot of times Ryan is a little bit of the brainchild behind that, and he even did some things for me as well. Like I paid him to do some Instagram ads and Facebook ads and things like that, video and putting it together. It just he's just so super smart, super
Yeah.
smart. And then there's a picture of Dr. Stacia over there as well with Dr. James as well. So both of them are a powerhouse team together. But this was an April issue, and so she was on the back of the April issue talking about the Success Journal. So if you all did not um, see full thing about the Success Journal, there's a little QR code. You can kind of do that on the April issue and actually get some of the Success Journals. They are really like her number one tool. It's so
Mhm.
all around the country about really how to really help shape that mindset about money. So yeah, that's really, really cool. But yeah, their colors are always popping. If you find they're always popping, they gonna have some color, right? It's always gonna be about the color. So
Ariana was one of the first like Instagram people like I followed that I felt like was really just hyper intentional around like
mhm.
branding and visual, like having things be visually stunning, like her photo shoots and just kind of
Yeah.
like it was like nothing was accident. Like it was no like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna take this picture and good. It was like
No.
very, very curated.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, this seemed like a lot of work. But her following is massive.
And
Both of them.
she's
Like
a
they have
paid influencer. I mean, so she gets paid by Disney and all different types of companies that as an influencer. So when people are like, "Well, is what does an influencer do?" They get paid. They get paid from their content. So yeah, that's one of the main things about super smart Michigan State grad, studied international business, was running a company while she was in college, a superstar nail lacquer, uh, was they had these things in swag bags at like different events like the Oscars and the Grammys and the Stellars and things like that. Superstars, obviously, that's what they came from. And so yeah, she had endorsements from some of the celebrities about the nail salon. And this was while she was in college. Okay. So she's not new to this either. Um Oh, yeah, she's been doing this for a while, and it's so funny because I met her, obviously, I've been knowing Dr. Sage for a long time, but I met her, she was probably about 9 or 10 and very shy, always really, really smart, loved books, and, just zoomed through school, always at the top of her class, 4.0 was not surprising. So when I see her success now, I'm really not surprised knowing what Dr. Stacia she poured into her kids, both of them, her and Ryan. So yeah, reading is really the key. Knowledge, applying it is so, so key. So that's why she's written, Dr. Stacia's probably written over 50 books. I just haven't
yeah.
two of them.
I I I can
Ariana
see.
too.
Then that's the thing. Like I think sometimes we kind of get that part kind of gets like lost. But one of the things I'm seeing, because we're talking about the millionaire maker, we're talking about people that are kind of making that transition. I think we can, as an entrepreneur, just speaking service-based entrepreneurs, people in this world, speakers, authors, coaches, consultants, I think kind of hustling your way, you can hustle your way to six figures pretty easily, I think. And
Yeah.
now, easy is, I'm doing quotation marks for anybody that can't see me, but easily, hustle your way. But when you start getting past like high six figures, seven figures, which is millionaire, eight figure, like
Mhm.
I
That's a
don't think
whole
you're going to do that without just being very comfortable about like putting out product or having like high like level services or scaling an agency. Like you gotta go for it. And so when I look at like Dr. Will Moreland with like 50 plus books and stuff like that, we don't take that whole thing of like, oh, I'm gonna take a year off and write my book. Like that's not you,
that don't happen. You
yeah,
don't
you gotta
you'll
just
be out
crank.
of business. You take a year off and write a book, okay? You gotta keep it moving. You have to have a really solid team, and you have to pour into that team. The team that she has around her, she'll take them on trips and cruises. She took some to London. I mean, they'll go to New York at the drop of a hat. I mean, she has a really good team. They work really hard, but when I tell you that she treats them well, like they will just like, oh, we got a surprise trip. We got 2 tickets, and you're going to London, and you're going to Paris, and it's like what? So yeah, she really does take care of her team, and they've been with her for a while, like decades, 10, 20 years. Shout out to Charlotte and Audrey, Nicole. I mean, these are people that have been with her for a long, they're part of the team, so they see the vision. She's always vision casting, but they get the vision as well and they help execute it. That's really, really key if you want to scale. It really is. It can't just be a one man band, a one woman band. You definitely have to have other people involved.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, let's go to the next page. I know we have a few more folks to
Yeah.
take a look at. I do want to, I know we couldn't, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Dr. Pierce could not be with us today because of her voice. But definitely want to congratulate you again for being featured this month's issue, and definitely looking forward to staying connected. I know there are a lot of folks in the BSN community that would benefit from reading the story, so make sure y'all check out the cover issue or the
Mhm.
cover story specifically, and then the entire Speakers magazine. But congratulations! Hope she gets a chance to see this and
Yes, yes.
take a look. And somebody tag Ariana as well. Tell her, we've been following
Yeah,
her,
yeah,
the
yeah.
progression of her brand, and
Mm,
Ryan, the whole
yeah,
family
right.
success train.
Mhm, mhm.
So we
And
got
so Donald Dowridge. Donald Dowridge, if you kinda look at that picture a little bit, people say that he looks like Frederick Douglass, if you know the iconic picture that we always see about Frederick Douglass, and he really performs Frederick Douglass often, and not during just Black History Month, but that's one of the things, if you see the video that's attached there, you'll hear his story, and it is a true, I won't even say rags to riches. It was like really a story where he
oh, this is you
was,
interviewing him.
yeah, this is a me interviewing him, and his story was that so much abuse in his background. He could have easily given up drug abuse, physical abuse, child abuse. He was in 7 different foster homes, but he survived it. And you kind of hear like what made him really pivot to the point where he is now a motivational speaker and motivating the masses. And he tells you about how the Frederick Douglass piece came up and everything, but he's really amazing. When I tell you that, no matter, you never know what people are going through, but when you hear what he's gone through and he's still here smiling and motivating, he's written, I believe, 3 books, if not 4. He's been cited by, it's really about youth empowerment. That's really his main key, youth empowerment. So he likes talking to kids, and he does it in the character of Frederick Douglass. So it's really, really cool. It's really
That's
cool.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Like somebody
Yeah.
like that can bring history to life like that.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That's what it is. Now, this lady here on the other side, India Orem, she's known as Savvy. She's a model coach. So there's
Okay.
a coach for everything, right? There's a coach for everything, and she's a motivational speaker. Again, part of it is just really sharing her message, but she helps people that want to break into the fashion industry as a model. And that's one of the things, you can see that picture there. It's just fabulous, right? That's just one. But she has a nonprofit as well called Little Girl Gone Missing, and really helps women at times of need and struggle. So
Oh,
it's
that's great.
not just about her. I mean, she speaks and she wants to just make a difference in the world. So everybody uses their influence in different ways, and hers is really the founder of Little Girls Gone Missing, and that's one of the things. So she's a model coach and mentor, and doing all
St.
the
Louis, St. Louis,
yes,
Missouri, stand up.
yes, that's her, that's her. And then the next person is Valerie. Valerie is a poet. We have a couple of poets in this issue. As you remember, I told you Chevelle started as a poet, and then became an author. The same thing with Valerie Yvette Peterson. She's a poet, author, motivational speaker as well. She's been on TBN, and she's got some music and things like that. But part of her thing is that she's also out of New York as well. So you can kind of see she does plays and films. So creativity is just blooming out of
Mm-hmm.
this young lady. And then Priscilla, who is actually from Miami, so another Florida person. So she's in this issue intentional as well. She is another one that is refiring, not retiring. She hit 70 this year and rebranded. She is now a
Mm.
transformational speaker. She was a trainer, really doing a lot of training, conflict resolution, but now really it's a change agent and transformational speaking. She's doing conferences in Belize, doing a lot of things in the community. They named a day after her. She just won the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award this year. So yeah, like I said, these baby boomers, they ain't sitting down, okay? They are like, we are out here with that white hat on. I see you, Miss Priscilla. Yeah. So you go to her website as well. She's on Twitter as well. She was like, Pam, do I gotta get on Twitter? Yes.
Why
She's
does
on
everybody got so many questions about Twitter specifically? I don't understand. Like, why? Like, Twitter's like the easiest platform to
It is. It's so
like.
little. You can't type a whole lot. I mean, it's only like 140 characters that, it's and that's where the media hangs out because it is brief and you can do it by the hashtags. Twitter was the first person, not first person, but the first platform to really use the hashtags. And then Facebook and Instagram got into the hashtags and then LinkedIn. But the media looks for the hashtags, and so you wanna make sure that you're in that conversation and
Yeah.
you show up consistently with that. She's on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and Priscilla Dame. So, yeah, I love that. And this last person is a person that is an author, and she wrote this book. And I saw her at WPO. She's a part of the Women's Presence Organization. She wrote
Dismissed.
Dismissed. Yes, she's a doctor out of the DC DMV area, Silver
Okay.
Spring, I believe.
Yep.
And she talks
Wow.
about women's health
Oh,
and
good.
not just like women's health, but also the mental health, physical health. But the dismiss means like sometimes women may go to their doctor and they'll say about something they're complaining about, and then they dismiss them. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be fine. And then the next thing you know, they got cancer and they did. It's like, it's like you've got to know how to vet the right doctor and how to articulate and be your own advocate. So this is
Mm-hmm.
her brand new book. It was launched at the end of March, was launched at
Yep.
the end of March. And so Dr. Angela Marsh has two comprehensive women's health is her clinic, but she's an awesome speaker. Heard her speak at the Women's Presence Organization. Oh my God. It was like the room was filled. People were sitting on the floor. They were taking notes. She was just dropping it. I mean, just really, really dropping it. So,
Yeah, I see
yes.
the subtitles tackling the biases that undermine our healthcare. That's a huge
Mhm.
thing in terms of
Yes.
the underlying bias that is prevalent across the entire like healthcare system, not just
Right.
at the patient level, but with drugs and we talked about the women who experience African American women specifically experiencing higher mortality rates for
Yes.
childbirth because um, so I'm glad that she's tackling this particular subject.
From a doctor's standpoint, right? So she's in it. So
Hmm.
imagine the perspective that she has. So a lot of people who study public health and all that kind of thing, they definitely should get this book. And anyone who speaks on that topic, it's a really, really good book to have for that. But Dr. Marshall is one of the leading people in voicing this. So definitely glad to have her in this as well. Again, like I said, it's not like it's Women's History Month, but because we were talking about women and wealth, you can't have wealth unless you have health. So that's why she's a bookend this
Or
week.
you wouldn't want to because it's like it doesn't like millions of dollars doesn't really feel as good if you don't feel good.
Right.
And then also, I think this is a great book for everybody. Like, even if you're not, I know she's an advocate for women's health, but
Mm,
even as a black man who's, and Pam, I'm taking care of my mom and stuff, and we have
mm,
very like detailed conversations about just patient advocacy and
yes.
asking questions and doctors. We already are kind of operating like a healthcare system where it's kind of you can easily become a number,
Mm,
and it's like, yo, like don't leave until you feel satisfied, you
yeah,
get your second opinion, ask all the follow-up questions, you do your own independent research. Just don't like take something because it been on a market for like 10 months or whatever. Like we ultimately are in charge of our own kind of patient experience. But sometimes we have to push back, and I think African Americans, we typically don't get the best healthcare experience overall, and so
Mhm.
now, conversations like this, I think, kind of give people the option to, or the
The
just the
freedom is
courage, yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah,
and the
to
freedom.
speak up. Yeah.
Yeah, to ask. I mean, she's a doctor herself, and the story starts from the standpoint that her son went to the hospital and she had some concerns,
Mhm.
and the she kept trying to voice the concerns, and again they were like dismissing her concerns. Well, her son ended up dying as a
Oh my
baby,
god.
and this really led her on this trail because it was like you were dismissing some of the things that I was telling you. And so being, this is 20 years later, now this book finally comes out, but she can see it's just the healthcare that's broken. And part of it is, the patients don't know what to ask. And part of the doctors are stressed and they have so many patients and just the whole thing. So she kind of looks at it from personal standpoint, medical standpoint, and also as an African American woman standpoint too. It's like, okay, well, what's really going on here? It took her a long time, obviously, to write the book, tell the story. She does have a daughter now. Her daughter's actually going to Harvard. Just got accepted as well, following her
These
footsteps and
these
that kind of
families,
thing.
man.
Yeah, that
Like,
she's doing a thing. So her daughter made a decision to go to Harvard, so she's really excited about that. But yeah, again, she's a speaker, like I said. Books and speaking go together. If you have a book, obviously you're a speaker. Most of the people in here in this issue are authors.
yeah.
Yeah, most of them are authors. I'm looking at it. Yeah, they are authors of just at least one book, if not two or three or four. Yes.
And then on the back cover, just as we close out the conversation, I know we got
Yes.
event coming up Juneteenth. It's obviously
Yeah.
in June. I
Yes.
see a bunch of BSN folks.
Yeah, JJ
JJ
Conway.
Conway.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is actually the host of this event. You see Sherwood is one of the speakers. Boyce
Yep.
Watkins, I'm so excited about that. This event is actually going to be in Chicago. It's live, but it's also going to be virtual as well. So we'll talk
Hmm.
more with JJ next month as well, if not before, because I think it anyway. So she's going to be the cover, for the June issue because Juneteenth, obviously, they kind of give that away, right? You can figure like, well, what is she doing? But yes, it's about wealth. Again,
Yeah,
seems to be the theme. I mean, it even started out January, we were talking about that as well. So that seems to be the theme for 2023, trying to make sure that Black people are in position, no matter what the economy is going, of wealth strategies and really making sure that they're not left behind. So I'm really proud.
absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
cool. Well, that's Speakers Magazine, May 2023. Another incredible issue. So again, folks are probably watching this and they're like, okay, how do I get in? Or, how do I, be considered? And so you can head over to speakersmagazine.com/get featured. And that's where all the information is to submit and apply. And make sure that you get entered. I know we've had many Black Speakers Network members featured over the years, including like our own issue, as well as multiple issues, as well as being on the cover. So I'm just internally grateful for you, Pam, for being the official magazine of Black Speakers Network and just,
Yeah.
creating like an entire platform for us to be able to, extend our message.
And make sure we plug our book.
Yeah, Speak Up is here. It's right here.
Yes.
Mine's cut off, but yes,
Yeah.
Speak Up.
This book is
It's
a life changer, let me tell you. If you really are just starting out in speaking business and you wanna know how to dominate the speaking industry, please read. Don't just jump out there on some stages. Know what you're doing before you go. Know before you go. So this will really help you. It has 30 different authors that go over the different areas of speaking. Brian, tell them about where did Brian go? Okay.
I'm right here. Now
Talk about
I was just like, yeah, I think Speak Up was written to be the, like, if you're in the professional speaking, or if you're thinking about transitioning to professional speaking, it was meant to be that book to like if speaking if the business of speaking was a college course, this would be the book that you got in Speaker 101. Like, hey, overall, because it has everything from podcasting, showing up on a panel, writing your keynote, getting media cut, like all the things that we talk about under that 5M model of mission, message, marketing, how to monetize, manage your speaking business is there. So you can go to Amazon, grab that. Highly recommend. Don't just buy it, but like it's very prescriptive so that you can go to the specific chapter of the part of the speaking business that you're working on at that time
And
and
connect
read
with
it
the
in a
people.
couple minutes.
Yeah, and connect with the people that wrote each chapter. They're real people. Yeah,
They're real people.
they're real people.
Guys, we are done. Pam, any
Thank
last
you.
thoughts as we roll into June and kind of wrap up May?
I just want to say make sure that you, when you go read the magazine, share it. Share with a friend, hit the share button. I think we have share buttons on there. And the more you share, you're putting out good karma for your own speaking business. Okay. So that's all I'm going to
Facts.
say about that.
Keep
All
it
right.
going. Well, my
Cool.
last thought is same thing. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And in addition to that, again, Black Speakers Network is the place to connect. So if you're not already connected, um, the theme of the year is visibility, and so if you're not getting on live virtual stages, you're missing out. And so if you're not connected as a in the BSN community, feel free to do so on Facebook or to join Black Speakers Network, blackspeakersnetwork.com/join. We have our mental health um, speaker series coming up this month. So super excited about that. June, we have our financial, it'll be money and finance. So another speaker series focused on that. And then we are, Pam, you were around for the premiere of this. So we're starting BSN Power Talks, which
Love
are
that. Yeah.
10-minute presentations. So there, excuse me, there's no shortage of opportunities to get to boost your visibility, but you gotta take action. So we
Mhm.
highly recommend doing that. And as we always say, Pam, keep speaking up because your audience
Audience
awaits. We'll
wait.
see y'all on stage. Have a
Yay.
great weekend.
Thank you.